Hello. So today I'm going to walk you through the basics of editing a very simple video, which I call bottom-up content, which is basically content that isn't planned or scripted, or it's just recorded from daily life and then edited afterwards. Try to be useful and try to be valuable for other people. And the way that starts is by, the way I do it is by I try to record as much as possible. So just, that can be anything, just meetings, presentations like this, where I haven't planned super much, but I'm just talking and trying to be valuable. And what happens is you end up with a lot of videos like this, a lot of different videos or meetings, and we need to go through them, clean them, take out the valuable parts, and then post them. So yeah, these are all screen recordings from different meetings and stuff. And then what happens is that you download one of these videos, you put them into your editing software like this, and then you start editing it. And how that typically works is you gotta look through it and try to remove unnecessary things. For example, the beginning of this video was I was just quiet, I was just looking. That's a typical unnecessary thing that you want to remove. If you're having meetings with someone else, there might be small talk that doesn't really create value for the viewer, or it's just completely random, like there's no context to what me or what the people are talking about. It could also be just silences where you're waiting for something. All of these unnecessary things we need to cut out because they're not creating any value. And it's really important to try to find the valuable parts. And sometimes there isn't any valuable part actually. And then we don't post it, then we throw it away. But I like to hope that if you have a meeting with someone, that something in that meeting was valuable. Otherwise, the meeting wasn't necessary, right? So as an editor, if you're editing these types of videos, it's important that you're able to spot the valuable parts. And I think that can be hard in the beginning, but over time, you get a very good understanding of, in my case, what the company's about, what we're doing, what our mission and our vision is, because you're going to hear it over and over again as you edit these videos. And over time, this judgment is going to be super important for you to pick out the right things. Sometimes, I don't know which editor you're using. I'm using Adobe Premiere Pro. There are some newer editors which have something called like text-based editing. I think there's an editor called, or an editing software called Descript, which has it. Text-based editing can be a really smart way to find the valuable parts because you're able to read the text and then you can edit the video based on the text instead of on the sound where I'm going to go through everything. So I'm not going to talk more about it here now, but it could be something for you to look into potentially, and I might be making a video about that in the future as well. But basically, you go through the video, you get these valuable parts here. We can pretend that this is valuable parts. Sometimes you want to make sure, if possible, that there's an interesting hook. So sometimes maybe you copy some part of the video and you just add it in the front so that it's so that is valuable, or like so that it hooks people in. Sometimes that's not possible, sometimes it's possible. In this video, sometimes if it's a meeting, like a Google meeting like this, sometimes you might have stuff on screen. And here, for example, is an example where I was going through something on the screen, and then when I was editing it, I just kind of zoomed in on the screen a little bit. And that's quite important as it helps the viewer, of course, understand what we're talking about, what we're doing. Lastly, it's also important to cut out sensitive information. Sometimes people are talking about something valuable, but if your judgment says that this is sensitive, then maybe we can't use it anyway. Or maybe we can use part of it, but not everything, because maybe we can use part of it, but not everything, because the sensitive information is just at one spot. Or it's not at all mentioned or talked, but I'm sharing the screen, or someone is sharing the screen, and then there's some sensitive information on the screen. Perhaps we need to block out that part of the screen. Or we can't use it at all just because the sensitive information is on screen. So and it can be names, numbers, sensitive information like secret strategy or something. I try to create and run this company very openly, as these videos that I'm posting shows. But of course, sometimes there are some things you just don't want to share. So then we need to try to cut that out. And basically just like try to clean it as efficiently as possible. It shouldn't take long. It should be quick. No fancy editing, no crazy stuff on there. Just like clean it as efficiently as possible. And the most important thing is just your judgment of what you keep and what you remove. It's not really the editing, it's your judgment that is important there. And it's important that the judgment is correct, so that when someone, if I watch it or a manager watches it, that we don't have to keep re-editing it, or that we have to re-edit every video. It just has to be good the first time, because otherwise it's just going to take too much time, and then it doesn't make sense to edit these videos because they aren't really, super engaging. They aren't planned. They are spontaneous, and it's a way to document the journey, to show the journey for people who are really interested to get into the nitty-gritty. But it's not like a Mr. Beast video where it's super engaging, it's crazy, and it's cool, blah, blah, blah. So that means we can't spend much time editing it. That's really quick and easy. So that's important. And lastly, what I always do is when you have the perfect video, you've edited it, I speed it up. I usually speed it up, I think, like ×2, so that is like 2x. I'm not sure, maybe sometimes it makes sense to go a little bit slower, like maybe sometimes 1.5x makes sense, depending on how fast you're talking or if you're multiple people. But that's also up to your judgment, but I always like to speed it up because sometimes it can be very long videos. When I watch videos on YouTube, I always watch it sped up. And if it's too fast for someone, they can always slow it down. But I think it's better we start and it goes fast and then people slow it down instead of the other way around. And yeah, when you speed things up, it's important to also change the audio pitch so that you don't get this really squeaky voice because then it's talking. So you got to change the audio pitch so that, the voice is not going to sound normal when it's sped up, but the pitch can still be okay. So yeah, that's it for the bottom-up recordings. I hope that it provided some guidance. And if you want to do it, do it.